What's up, everybody? It's me, it's the B.O.B., and I'm here with my man, Maestro. Maestro, how you doing today?
Just so everybody can know, if you are planning to plan on becoming pregnant, please be careful when you use the Big Bob and Maestro show. It may lead to illness, seasickness, and bad brackets.
Ain't that the truth? Well, this is Around the Table with Big Bob and the Maestro. That's the Maestro, I'm Big Bob, and this is the podcast where we talk about whatever we want. Well, Hoopsteria is here. Hoopsteria
Yeah,
is
is
uh
enough.
it is it is making us sick, and I don't know if I'd be interested to know who has the best bracket right now, because I know I do not. Nowhere close.
you
But
know,
yeah.
Sam Big Bob. I'm gonna make a public apology to B Ron right now. B Aloysius Owenthar, Gerard Ryan, the third, the fourth, and the half, and the 15th. The most beautiful man in SimWorld Hoops. I'm gonna make a public apology to you right now because you pronounce it Hoopsteria like it's a disease. And you are right. That is exactly what it is, my dude. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, looking through my bracket, we had 32, 32 games. I
hmm
picked, I picked, I believe 10 teams right in 32 games. I have, I got 3 of my 4 in my quad left. But the rest of that bracket, whew, I I don't know what to say, Maestro. It's a complete disaster. So much red, so many things crossed out.
so
Uh,
so much red.
thought Colorado was going to make a run. Thought Texas was going to face Colorado just before the quad. Them two completely destroyed my Midwest region. Tennessee, Tennessee killed my East region. Oh, it doesn't. It goes on and on and on. Man, Kentucky killed my Southern region, and that West region. USC. I had USC making a little bit of a trip to take on Virginia just before the quad. But hey, I got Duke, Miami, and Virginia still in my quad, with Duke, Miami in the championship game. Duke is the national champions. I'm sure Duke's going to lose next to completely shut down the rest of my bracket. What what are you looking at right now, Maestro?
So I just did a recount. We had a hanging chat. I actually got 16 out of 32.
Oh.
So 50%. Um the by the way, for the record, officially the Midwest region does not exist. It is the Bermuda Triangle. It is Sasquatch at the mall. It's not real. So I'm just want to put that out there so that way we can know what we're dealing with. Um that one just got eaten up like the dots in Pac-Man on me, man, dude. Um I still have Villanova in the mix for my quad. I still have Jackson State in the mix, and I'm just kind of pulling for them point. I still have Alabama. So I got 3 of
Yeah.
my 4 of my quads still alive. Georgetown, I think, took a dive on me. So yeah. My quad is still hanging in there. But Bob, you know something? I'll say something, and I'm gonna tell you why this hits me in the gut so hard. Flashback 678 years ago, and I promise this won't be a typical Maestro story. We did a betting pool for the men's and women's tournament for 2008, and I won both. I won
Hmm.
both the men's and women's tournament, and I even got the final score for the women's tournament within 2 points.
Mm.
And so why does that suck the way this suck? That was the year Rick Newhouse had that deal in Colorado with the bracket betting pool, and it became like a violation for you to do a pool in the athletic department. So I got written up over, wait for it, $75.
Mm.
Got written up in the NCAA for $75. That sucks how much as this sucks right now. And I'm just gonna say it that way.
Yeah, I mean, there was a ton of games that just they were head scratchers for everybody. A lot of close losses for some teams that people expected to go far. Texas with
Yeah.
that 1 point loss to Marquette, 63-62. A-Rod held on for Marquette. Arthur Lattimore still he he could have had a little bit of a better game. Only scored 18 points.
Yeah.
He was 8 for 13, but I kind of expected more of a stat line like A-Rod had for Marquette. He shot 23 times, only made 9,
Hmm.
but it just felt like if they would have gave Arthur Lattimore the ball a little bit more, or if Lattimore would have been a little more selfish with the ball, Texas would have moved on. But man,
Yeah.
that was a shocking loss.
No
Couldn't
foot on the
believe it.
line rule. No, look, no Cooper flag rule. Too soon? Is that too soon still? Okay. I won't keep bringing that up. For
I
those who
mean,
don't know, for those who don't know, when the originators won the SimWorld Prep tournament, the race to one 2 years ago, there was a last second shot that saved the originators by Cooper flag, and a lot of people were arguing if the foot was on the line. So if you weren't here for that, go
mm.
back, watch that game, watch the end, just let the hilarity ensue, as it were.
But yeah, I mean, some of these teams, it just I don't know. You always expect.
Right.
You always expect some of the underdogs to come out on top. I picked a lot of underdogs to come out on top. I just didn't pick the right underdogs.
Yeah, you know what? It's so funny you would say it that way because looking at the seating and oh, by the way, our listeners should know we really definitely appreciate you guys checking us out. There is a lot of grumbling going on right now amongst the SimWorld community, the admin community, the media community, the public facing community, even the writing community about the seating, about the organization. West Coast teams playing in the East Coast teams playing on the West Coast, uh, teams from the same conference, teams from the same state playing each other so much in the first round. So believe us when we tell you that there's a lot of stuff going on right now in terms of how the seating worked out, and quite a few people near the very top of SimWorld admin, just to be honest about it, I hope I'm not letting the cat out the bag, but they're really unhappy about how it kind of turned out. Now for us media people, it's fun because Big Bob and I get to talk about how dumb it is, right? We get to, we get to laugh about it, because we're not making those decisions, right? But but there are a lot of people really unhappy with how the seating played out. I'm sure there's going to be a revisit, Big Bob, and I'm sure they're going to effort to make it maybe more equitable across the table. But I'm going to be honest with you, and we definitely love to know how our viewers and listeners feel about this. You have to beat everybody anyway, right?
Yep.
And yes, it's kind of yes, it's kind of a downer. Virginia versus Virginia Tech in the first round. All the two New Jersey teams, which means there was not a single car left in the parking lot in L.A. between Rutgers and Princeton, because part of the public school curriculum in New Jersey is you have to be able to hotwire a car or even. No, I'm sorry. Too soon. Too soon. Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, Coach Drayton. But it's just Big Bob. I find it so weird, despite all of that, and despite the underdogs winning the way they were, and despite the grumbling that goes on about it. Guess what? If your team got beat, no matter what the number was in front of it, it doesn't matter here, man. It's one and done. You got to come to play, whether you're a 1 seed playing a 16 seed, whether you're an 8 seed playing a 9 seed, you still have to beat the jerseys on the other bench. And if you don't do that, you're going home.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's not like they didn't have a little bit of rest to get
Right.
themselves together. Maybe things will look a little bit different next season 4 of SimWorld U and with Hoopsteria, but I don't really have too much of an issue of what we've seen. We've seen a lot. It's been fun, and that
Yes.
is
Yes.
and that is really what we look for. A lot of fun. I don't think anybody can. It's been crazy, but it's been fun. Obviously, everybody's brackets busted. No one's safe. If anybody
No.
says they still got 50% of their picks, I still don't believe. Even though you said that, I still don't believe you. You might have the best bracket. You might still have the best bracket out there. I don't know.
It's the Maestro, baby. Come on, I got you, boo. Holla at your boy.
But yeah, some of these teams, like the ones that we questioned all season long, they came ready to play when the time mattered. Oklahoma, they beat Georgia Tech 92-78. Suno Chapa and Jace Miguez, they really stood out for that squad. And Georgia Tech just couldn't hang. got shut down in the second half, but Oklahoma had a huge first half with 53 points. But Oklahoma, they finally, the question was, are they going to be able to keep up? Because I think they went on a little streak there at the end of the season, but they were all
Mhm.
season we're going, what's wrong with them? Like what is going
Right.
on? They have so many stars. Are they going to make it? They're 14 and 17. If we didn't let as many teams into Hoopsteria as we have, then they wouldn't even have made it because they don't even have a winning record.
Very
How
true.
many
Very
teams make
true.
it? How many teams make it into their sports postseason with a losing record? Um,
Oh man, dude,
yeah,
come on.
but Oklahoma, I mean,
It,
it's
how do you
firing
feel
for
about
them.
that, Bob?
About
Bob,
what?
how do you feel about teams with losing records still making it to the playoffs? And
I I've never been a fan of it. I
Mhm.
My biggest gripe is in the SWFL where, and I
Mhm.
let me rewind a
Seattle
little
one
bit.
year.
You will
Seattle
never,
one year.
we would have never gotten that huge. That's a career, not just a career. That's a SWFL highlight top 5 run in the history of the SWFL, from
Mhm.
Seahawks taking on the Saints there, Marshawn Lynch
Right.
just
Mhm.
destroying every single Saint in his way. But
Yeah.
I don't like that they still get to be a top seed in
Yes.
the
There you
playoffs.
go. There you go.
And I know that was one of the complaints this SWFL season. I don't really care. The Lions, the Viking, the NFC North crap the bed anyways. But you had 3 teams from the same conference making it to the playoffs,
Right.
and potentially uh, the Lions and the Vikings were the top 2 teams in the NFC. Yet you have the Lions at number 1 and the Vikings drop all the way down because they didn't win their
To the top
division.
wild card or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's at some point, at some point, it feels like a participation trophy type thing, but
Right.
I don't think we can. It's hard for me to say we can't do it when all these teams are showing up and knocking off these teams with the winning records.
Yes. You know what?
So
That's a great point.
it's
That's a
like
great point. Yeah.
it's like when when you're 23 and 11, Memphis, and you're taking on Xavier, who's 13 and 18. I shouldn't even be talking about how Xavier completely shut down Memphis, held them to 21 points in the first half, and they only scored 21 points in the second half. That should
Yep.
not, that is a coaching issue. That is a preparation
Mhm.
issue. So
Mhm. Mhm.
until we start seeing these teams that are really bad, or their record says they're really bad, getting completely destroyed every single year, it's going to be hard for me to make a true argument of leaving them out completely, because
Right.
they're coming in and they're doing things that they shouldn't do, because these big teams, or the top tier teams, are thinking they're just going to walk through it, not preparing as hard, and they're getting smacked from the beginning. Again,
So my last. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, baby.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead,
I
baby.
was just going to say, I mean, I just wanted to, looking at Kansas, they took on UConn. Kansas 23 and 10,
Mhm.
UConn 13 and 17. Kansas was the
Mhm.
number
Mhm.
5 ranked team in the entire country, and they got beat by 10 points.
Yeah.
It prove that they don't belong, and then maybe we can have that conversation of, yeah, they shouldn't be here. They were like, why are we doing this? Let's drop it to 32 teams instead of 62. But yeah, or sorry, 32 instead of 64, whatever. Uh,
Right. Right. Right.
prove that they don't belong, and then maybe it's a conversation. Again, I don't like losing records in the playoffs, but they're proving that they belong by taking out, again,
I win.
one more number 7 team in the country,
Oh
Kentucky,
yeah.
24 to
Yep.
7, 24 and 7, Oregon 13 and 19. Kentucky
Yep.
lost.
Kentucky
Prove that
lost. Yep.
they don't belong, and then we'll have that conversation.
And I think you just answered the next question that I apologize for interrupting you by asking, and that is, so you look at how like La Liga does it, the football league, right? And you look at how the Premier League does it. You know, each season how it goes on is whoever all the top records are who move up, and the who is not in the top records move down to the second tier, and only the people in the top tier, regardless of division, region, organization, and like that, just those teams make it to the final match going for the cup, right? And it,
Yeah.
and the same thing happens with football. I'm sorry, in America we call it soccer. My bad. soccer or with cricket. The exact same thing happens the exact same way. Top teams go to the top tier. Everybody else is regulated to the second division. So that way, only the top teams are in the playoffs once they get down to the end of the year. And then the struggle is always seeing those last teams and the last teams in the top tier trying to keep their record above the top teams in the second tier, so there won't be any flips. So there's a degree of expectation that the best team is going to be for the championship. However, once you get past that, now it resets the playoffs. And I used to kind of think, well, maybe we should do that in some American sports. But then you just basically killed my argument. It's so cool to see a 16 seed with the losing record go in there and knock the holy blank out of a number one seed with a winning record and probably a lottery pick.
Yeah.
And hey, okay, let's be trite. That's why we play the game. And and that reality is what it is. So I got you. That's there it is.
Yeah, like I said, to answer your first question, I absolutely hate losing records in the playoffs. But again, I flipped on myself because again, when you look at the games and look at the teams that are winning, prove that they don't belong there, and then maybe we can have that discussion again. Don't like it, but it is what it is. Creates great stories, creates great games, and it makes for some fun basketball to watch.
Yes, it does. And it's funny you say, speaking of fun basketball, tonight, as we're recording this, tonight was the draft lottery night pick. And so here we go. Two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
Two birds with one stone. Okay, so Dallas gets the number one pick. Everybody says they're going to pick Cooper Flag.
Yep.
And Giannis Antetokounmpo, Giannis with the long A last name, once out of the University of Michigan or wherever he's playing right now. I'm sorry, I'm being funny. I'm being funny. Okay. Let's just gonna get this out the way. Do you think he'll end up at a place like Dallas or even at the Spurs? Their cap situations make it a little weird, right? So imagine Dallas getting number one pick in Cooper Flag and then getting Giannis. Or imagine the Spurs having Victor Wembanyama and then getting Giannis with them. Now the cap situations make it weird. The smartest fit, especially if he wants a max contract, or what is it? Minnesota, Phoenix, Washington, the LA Lakers, and Golden State Warriors have the best cap fits. I think they have the most cap room. And I think after that, maybe it's Boston, before you even get to Milwaukee, right? But first of all, is he the kind of guy that's going to want to max out his contract? I would imagine he probably does, or at least his agent does.
Yeah.
No matter how you might feel. But can you imagine Dallas pulling that off? I think Dallas has $47 million available in cap right now. They can make some moves and do some other stuff. Do you think that they would get the number one draft pick and then they max out Giannis and then have Cooper Flag and him together? That would definitely reinvigorate them after trading Luka Duka away to Dookie Dookie. Too soon.
It's tough because what would it truly take to get Giannis? And we look at all these teams, like if he goes to the Spurs, we act like it's going to be Chris Paul comes back one more year. They still got Steven Castle, they got Wemby, and now they got Giannis. I think if you're the Spurs, you got to give up some of that young talent. If you're going to, just the way that things go, you're going to have to give up some of that young talent. Now, I say that to go back and look at the Luka trade where it was just like, let's ship Luka and we'll bring in Anthony Davis because that's who we really wanted. Could the Spurs do that? Right. Absolutely. But do you want to risk that with Pop being done now? He's not going to be your coach anymore. Do you risk that big of a shakeup? He set this team up for the future.
Yes, he did.
For whenever he was going to leave, he set the team up. He set the coach up. He made sure everybody was prepared for when he's going to be gone, for things to continue to move forward. They're not a team that generally goes looking for all the big names to try and bring them in. They
generally don't spend a lot of money.
No, they don't spend a lot of money. They build from the ground up. They might bring in this guy or that guy. I mean, they brought in Chris Paul at the end of his career to be a mentor, really.
Yeah, but they only paid him 10. What is it? 10 million,
Yeah,
10 and a
like
half,
yeah, like
something like that.
it was nothing. You look at, I think probably when it comes to assets, Phoenix is probably the most likely, just off the top of my
Ooh,
head, thinking of the
ooh.
teams. Like they have the assets. Kevin Durant's not going to be the Kevin Durant's not staying in Phoenix. I don't know I can't remember what his contract looks like right now, but you got. I think we got to look at who has these big contracts that they need to get rid of.
Mhm,
People going
mhm.
out there, oh, are the Sixers going to get Giannis? Probably not.
Yeah,
Why? No, but
yeah,
if they are, if you look at the contract situations, this is the perfect time for them to dump Paul George because
yep.
suppose they're not happy with him. Is Embiid going to be healthy? Who knows? If they are going to get rid of Embiid, if they are going to try and dump Paul George's contract, trading for Giannis would be a great way to do that. Can they do it? That was actually, I'll be honest, I was playing some SWBA 2K25 earlier,
Oh,
and
my man.
I was trying to make that trade for Giannis for Embiid. Couldn't make it happen. Added a third
Can
team,
make it happen.
still couldn't make it happen. But anyways,
So what you rocking, a PS5 or a PS4, or you like me
yeah,
rocking a PS2?
I got the PS5, baby.
You got the PS5? I got my PS2 right there. I'm gonna give everybody a picture of it. No, no, I'm joking. I actually do have a PS3. It doesn't work anymore.
Huh.
So I actually took a look at a
Oh,
PS5.
nice.
So I looked at it.
But no, yeah, but yeah. I mean, they're going to trade Giannis where he wants to be traded, but
True
they
that.
still are going to want to get a little something back.
Now,
I
you know,
Go ahead.
no, 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 yeah, Rocky, because I was gonna say, because I think I know what you're about to say. The reality of it is, where does he want to go if he wants to go? And the players decide that anyway, and
Yeah.
that's part of the problem, that the players going to figure out where you want to be, who you want to be with, blah blah blah, because they really run the ship more so than the administration anyway. So that's
Yep.
it. So yeah, there you go. So go ahead, Bob.
No,
I know where you're going with
that's
this.
it. It's where does he want to play and what makes the most sense for the team? How can they make it as equal as possible for both sides? Jimmy Butler always gets his way. He got his way to Miami. He got his way to Golden State. It's a players league. They
Yes.
listen to the
Hmm.
players. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, uh, that's a discussion for another time.
Yes, it
Um,
is.
but I don't know how much longer he's going to be with the Bucks. Um, but it's going to take a pretty penny. If he's going to Dallas, that's going to be the number one overall pick. I
Yeah.
can't see them having the number one overall pick and finding a way to trade for Giannis. Anthony Davis is too injury prone. Kyrie Irving's still or is too injury prone,
That's a
and
great point.
I just there's so many factors. It's hard to say where he's going to end up, but everybody,
Hmm.
every team wants him. Every team wants him, he makes every team
Yeah.
better. But you do not want to. Just going to go back to the Saints when they traded away everything for Ricky Williams, all the draft capital for
Yeah.
Ricky Williams. You can't trade away everything for the player that you want and then have nothing to build around them.
Right. Right. So true. So true. But listen, if you're the GM, you're trying to GM, or if you're the head coach, you're trying to coach for your job right now. The
Yep.
last thing you're gonna do is set your team up for the future. And if I gotta make a home run swing, which is always a mistake,
Hmm.
if you don't hit, you look even more dumb. There you go.
Yeah, like so you brought it up. Somebody is coaching or GMing for their job right now, and they're gonna do something, just a Hail Mary. Let's hope that this
Hmm.
works out. If it does, great. I still have a job. If it doesn't, I still got my money. That's all
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
the end of the day.
Yeah. And it's always better to be fired than to quit, because you still get paid in the leagues now.
Absolutely. Well, Maestro, I appreciate you as always. Do you have any final words for the people?
As always, man, appreciate everybody. Hopefully, everybody had a great Mother's Day this weekend, and was able to be with your mother, or at least remember your mother in kindness and love. And every day should be Mother's Day, and that's how I feel. The same way about that as I feel about the charge being a stat. So just just appreciate you guys for hanging with us on the show. I always appreciate your comment. Holler at us. Go on and drop something down below. Let us know something you want to hear about, and me and Bob, me and Big Bob can cut it up, cook it up, and eat it, for you.
Absolutely. We love ideas. If you have something you guys want us to talk about, it doesn't even have to be sports related. Just let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know in the YouTube comments or the Discord comments. But Maestro, again, I appreciate you. I appreciate the people, and I hope everybody has a great rest of their week.